huge day. Monumental, huge, massive day. I guess it's the day after a huge day, but I was in the middle of a show when everything was going down yesterday and I wasn't able to talk about it. For those of you guys who have been with me for years, you know that I have been talking about Free Britney for a very long time. Prior to the New York Times doc, prior to it being a big hashtag, this conservatorship has been going on for 13 years and has been fucked up for so long. And I think that people are finally catching on to what's happening. And now, for the first time in years, Britney Spears was actually allowed to address the judge and talk about her own conservatorship. And she did so in a 20-minute speech yesterday, a phone call into the court. And that call was transcribed. And I have read that transcription 50 times and took notes on it to give you guys a full breakdown of what happened in Free Britney and the case yesterday and the conservatorship and what I believe is going to happen moving forward and why I believe we finally got to this moment. So all of that and more today live at the Roxy. It is such a Free Britney day on this show. There's a couple other things that we're going to go over. I saw something really fucking hysterical on Twitter that I'll bring up at the end of this. But for the most part, it's Britney, bitch. That's what this is about today. And I could not be more relieved or happy for Britney that she finally got her chance to speak a little bit, a fraction of her truth. Imagine, and people who think, oh, woe is Britney, she makes so much money. This is something she talks about in her speech. But imagine living in a world in which you've been working in since you were a kid, a child. You are nonstop working. And the more you work, the bigger you get, the less control you have over your life. You, starting at 26, are placed in a conservatorship where your father, who seemingly does not make decisions with your best intention, is somebody who takes away your right to be with your children, is the person who has say in what color you paint your house or your kitchen cabinets, is the one who decides which gigs you take, which gigs you don't take, how often you work, where you can and when you can see your boyfriend, who you're allowed to marry, what you're allowed to buy, where you're allowed to go, which therapist you're allowed to see, what lawyer you're allowed to have, every single decision that you make in your life. And the more you work, the more money you make, the more you're spending to protect everybody but yourself. It is just such a wild premise that we live in the United States of fucking America and that Britney Spears has been an absolute prisoner to her father and society for the last 13 years. And I'm going to break down exactly what she said today on this show. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. If you have questions, comments, concerns, I know that a lot about conservatorships is really confusing. I did not know much about conservatorships until I started learning about the Britney case. And it is disgusting. Not conservatorship, not all conservatorships are disgusting, but a lot of them. And that's something that Britney speaks about as well. So get in your Streamlabs. Let me know what you thought. I know a lot of you guys probably did not listen or hear the 20-minute speech. So I pulled out the most important parts, the most important quotes, my takeaways, and things that I thought that you guys really needed to know. And I did so in order to make it so that there's no digging our heads in the sand. We all know what's happening. And I know that it's time consuming. So I'm doing the work for you guys so that y'all can just show up here and find out what's going on. But I'm going to do it in the least biased way I possibly can, just by putting together these quotes and then give you guys my thoughts on it. But starting in the Streamlabs, before we get into this, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. A couple things going on in here. Adrian Bailey, before we started the show today, said, "Hi, Roxy. Just wanted to say thank you for the advice you, Doreen, and Steph gave me last night. I couldn't watch the entire show. I'm so happy to be part of the Stars community. You are the absolute best, Rox. You have a good heart. RJ Striar, much love. Much love to you, my babe. I appreciate you, Adrian. and let us know. Keep us posted on how everything goes. Glenn Caesar in the house says, hello and good Thursday, Roxy, and all your nicknames. How are you? Just sending well wishes, and thank you for taking the time to hang out. Peace, bunnies, hugs, and good stuff. To you, Grammy and Papo, be most excellent to yourselves and each other, Roxy and the rock stars, RJ and everyone who shows up to give their support whenever, however. Even when it gets tough, you're by yourself. Even if you're by yourself, you're not alone. Oop, look at me stumbling because I'm thinking about Britney. Everyone who's battling, keep on fighting. You're a winner. You're kind. You're caring. You're fully unique. And showing up for people who need it and want it makes you spectacular. Being so unselfishly loving and supportive of others, including strangers, whether it's on the internet or not, makes you humane and worthy. Your story is important and deserves to be seen and heard. Cheers to finding fuck yeah news, what brings us smiles, laughter, joy, and maybe bliss in each of our days, our weeks, our months, and even our years. May we be in our own glow. I am fucking glowing these days, probably because it's really hot in here. I refuse to not wear sweatshirts as much as possible whenever/wherever we can, and radiate multiple colored energies. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you. Austin Kramer in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider says, just showing some love. Thanks, Austin Kramer. I appreciate that love. I feel that love. I take that love in and I put it back out into the world to try to give love to the rest of the people. Thank you, everybody who's joining us live. For anybody who clicked on this video because they want to know about what happened in Britney Spears, don't worry. We're going to spend the majority of the show talking about it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns throughout the entire piece today, Streamlabs, the piece, as if I'm doing a piece. An intense piece on this throughout the entire show. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider. Get those in now. Get them in loud. Get them in proud, as I will get to every single one of the questions that is in there. And shout out to all of you guys who are joining me in the chat today to hear about the Britney stuff. Lauren, George Pruitt, John Bainbridge, Jimmy Nails, Mohammed Belstein, Zeno Auer, Christian Hardesty, Manny Gonzalez, the French Taunter, Jimmy Nails, Matt Munoz, Adrian Bailey, B. Lee, Brandy, my girl, Manny Gonzalez, DK, what's up, DK? ZB, Bruce Banner, yo. Everybody's showing up to show out for my girl Britney, King Sport Cow, Murderanta. Thank you to every one of you guys for being in here. John Lestrina, how many days till F9? Are you going tonight, John Lestrina? Joseph Ashley, Chris McGovern, Rob Fishbeck, Ryan Payne, and to the rest of you guys, thank you for being here on this Free Britney Thursday, although it's Free Britney every day. Okay, so here is my, after multiple times reading the transcript, and this transcript was coming from Variety. Now, here was the deal with the actual hearing. So for the Free Britney case, for the conservatorship, the judge had Britney Spears call in to speak on the subject. Britney spoke for about 20 minutes, and this was a close to the public, so they weren't publicized, they weren't televising the court case, but there were two people who were allowed to be in there, and obviously the press is allowed to hear what's happening. So the press was able to get a transcript of this. This one's coming from Variety. Multiple times throughout Britney's speech, the judge had to ask her to slow down because the transcript was so difficult because Britney was speaking so fast. Probably number one, out of nerves. Number two, we all are just coming out of a quarantine, so everybody's a little bit off. Number three, this is the first time she's been able to speak about her conservatorship in years, and so she has a lot to say. So that nervous energy and also just wanting to be able to get it all out and the excitement of being able to share her truth and her story. So because of that, obviously, again, this is coming from the transcript, but I want you guys to know that, of course, there might be a couple of words that are off based on that. So throughout, I would say about 3 or 4 times, the judge said that she needed her to speak a little more slowly. Every time Britney was so sweet about it because Britney is like the sweetest fucking person on the planet. If you guys have ever watched any of her videos, any of her interacting with people on night shows or interviews or with fans, other than the couple bad moments of press that she's had with fucking paparazzi, she seemingly is like the sweetest saint there was. So every time she was just felt honored and blessed to be able to speak this day. So when the judge asked her to slow down, she tried to do just that, but then she would ramp back up because she got, I'm sure we would all get like that, overexcited and nervous. So these are the bullet points and some quotes, and in order of how it goes. The first thing we learn is that she talks about how in 2018, she went on tour because her management threatened to sue her otherwise. So she was talking about a lot about her family in this, her dad, her mom, her management, her lawyers, her team, just everybody. But she starts talking about how she didn't want to go on tour in 2018, but management threatened to sue her otherwise. And they're able to do that because she does not have say over the things that she does. On top of that, they told her that she would need to lawyer up. And when Britney has to lawyer up, she has to lawyer up, as we've talked about this before, for not just herself, but for the people that under her conservatorship. So she ends up paying double for a lot of people in order to not do certain things. Like anytime that her and her dad have been in a dispute, Britney's not only paying for her own lawyer, but she's also paying for her father's lawyer. So that would be something that would end up costing her a lot of money. She ends up doing the tour. After the tour, management starts training her 4 times a week for her Vegas run again. She doesn't want to do the Vegas gig again. She had already previously done the Vegas gig. She just really wants a break. All she wants is a break. This is an exact quote from her. She says, "It's funny to hear my manager's side of the story. They all say I wasn't participating in rehearsals and I never agreed to take my medication, which my medication is only taken in the mornings, never at rehearsal. They don't even see me. So why are they even claiming that?" End quote. So this is something that comes up throughout the 20 minutes often, her medication, and people talking about her not taking her medication and what medication she's supposed to be on and who has awareness of this medication. Britney claims multiple times that she has been distributed her medication by the same person for the last 8 years at the same timing in the morning. And so that this is essentially a lie. And not even just essentially is a lie, that would be something that they would even be aware of. She also was participating in training. She just said that sometimes she didn't want to do one particular move, which at this point in her career, she's allowed to say if she doesn't want to do this piece of choreography that she doesn't artistically think's right, but she's actually not allowed to say that, is what her management would say. Another quote she said was, "Ma'am," and whenever she says ma'am, she's talking to the judge, "Ma'am, I'm not here to be anyone's slave. I can say no to a dance move," end quote. It did feel like multiple times she referenced that she was not here to be a prisoner, a slave. She was here to live her own life. And because she has to do what everybody around her tells her she has to do, she's unable to live her own life. What is free will if you have none? And so, okay, here's another quote. She says, quote, "3 days later, after I said no to Vegas," so she was pausing, she was asked to go back to Vegas to do the tour. She said she really didn't want to do it. So, quote, "3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All this was false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I've been on for 5 years. And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to." End quote. So this is the first thing to me that sounded like, holy shit, uh-oh. She then talks about how the lithium made her feel drunk and that even months into it, she felt fucked up and drunk and that she was on too high of a dose. So she is being forced to take lithium based on her conservatorship, and her therapist, a therapist that she was not able to choose, a therapist that she does not like, who she doesn't believe is there for her, that she is having to pay, who's making an arm and a leg off of her when she doesn't want to be with that therapist, is now putting her on a stronger drug, which sounds to me like to shut her the fuck up. Scary as shit. Then she was told she had to go to rehab. So they put her on more drugs. Then she's told that she had to go to rehab. And her dad says to her that she's going to have to pay for rehab and that it's going to be like $60,000 a month every month, and that they're making a whole rehab program for her. What the rehab exactly is for, a little unclear. Multiple times throughout this article, she mentions how she's not, or throughout her speech, she mentions how she doesn't really drink, but she's on this medication and they're drugging her. Then she has to go to rehab for existing. This is what she says. I guess she called her dad and he said that she had to go to rehab. She says, quote, "I cried on the phone for an hour and he loved every minute of it. The control he had over someone as powerful as me, he loved the control to hurt his own daughter 100,000%. He loved it." End quote. Now, this is a woman who is fighting for two different things. The first thing is to not have her dad have control over her conservatorship. She's been fighting for that for a while, and not as vocally because she has not been allowed to speak, but she didn't want him to be the conservator. Now, imagine her father loving sending his daughter to rehab. What kind of person is Jamie? Throughout everything we've seen, a horrific one. A horrific one. Just absolutely sociopathic. And to have your daughter on the phone crying and and for her to feel like you're loving every minute of that broke my fucking heart. Mormoth Hans in the super chat says, boop. I don't even know which part we're booping Mormoth, but yep, absolutely. And for any of you guys who have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on this entire thing, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Pausing for a second, going to Trackstars in the Streamlabs, who says, heartbroken to hear this story. Britney, to me, is what Zoomers feel about BTS. Oh, I feel that. Is that what Gen Z are called? Zoomers? Make me sad as a grown woman that a grown woman cannot even speak up and stand up. She's speaking fast, and I'm sure she's afraid she may be cut off and be silenced. She had trauma for sure. Trackstars, absolutely. I think that she wanted to get it all out. It's like, you know, when you grow up hungry and then you have food, and so you eat so effing fast because you're just so scared that it's going to get taken away from you. And that's what I felt like this was about. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer super chatting as well as we go throughout the rest of this. So that's what she says about how her dad felt. Then she says that they told her, her management, her family, everybody in the conservatorship says that if she did not work, she was not going to be allowed to see her kids or boyfriend. So this is somebody who they are saying you are capable of working, but you are incapable of being a parent or a lover. What the fuck is that? You are capable of holding down a job, of having a residency in Vegas, of being a judge on one of the biggest talent shows that there is, of performing, of going out there every night and having a ton of choreography and your songs and lighting up rooms. But you can't have a boyfriend. And so that is a huge threat. If you do not work, you don't get to have a life. What does that sound like to you guys? What does that sound like to you guys? If you do not work, you do not get to live. This is a quote from her. Quote, I was told I have to sit down and be evaluated again if I want to end the conservatorship. Ma'am, I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end it. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I honestly didn't know that. End quote. So this is when she talks about evaluations throughout this entire 20-minute speech that she gives. She talks about how she's had to be evaluated so many times. But you have to remember, this is now where my bias comes in. As we talked about things in the past, court cases in the past, for example, the Allen v. Farrow case. When you're being evaluated by somebody, we don't even know if we trust the person evaluating you. And so a person that Britney Spears has to pay all of these fees. That person makes more money the more times they have to evaluate. So once they clear somebody, they stop making their paychecks. When they don't clear people, and when you have to keep going to court and litigate and all of these things, they make more money. So what is incentivizing them to evaluate her positively? On top of that, this is a girl whose medication has been changed so many fucking times now and is on lithium where she feels drugged out and drunk. And for a million other things that we're going to address soon, she's obviously scared shitless about these evaluations because she's nervous she's not going to pass, not because she's not almost a 40-year-old woman who's able to make her own decisions, but because who's evaluating her and based on what and when she's on these medications. So she's asking for that. She's asking to not have to be evaluated in order to just live. Imagine if in order to access your own money or your own children or paint your cabinets, every time you wanted to do that, you need to be evaluated by somebody you were paying. What? Then when she says that she didn't even know she could petition the conservatorship to end because she is so sheltered and is so locked down that she doesn't even know what her options are. Scary. This is another quote from her. She says, quote, "I thought people would make fun of me or laugh at me and say, she's lying. She's got everything. She's Britney Spears. I'm not lying. I just want my life back. And it's been 13 years and it's enough." She talked a little bit about Paris Hilton here and how she felt like people wouldn't believe her because she gets it. She didn't believe Paris Hilton. And a lot of people look at Britney's life. They think it's so amazing. She's this beautiful, positive, strong, rich, famous, talented woman. So woe is Britney. But at the end of the day, like she said, she's not lying. She has no life. She's not able to go outside without fucking permission. She's a prisoner. And it's insane. And like she said, it's been 13 years and it's enough. And my argument for all of this, as I've told you guys before, is not that I think Britney Spears will make all of the perfect choices. I don't know that. I don't know that we don't give her access to everything she has and she doesn't fuck up. She loses all her money. She gambles it all away. She buys something stupid and it goes all away. I don't know that that's what she's going to do, but I'm just saying, I don't know she's not going to do that. I just know it's her right to do that. When you work your ass off like she is, you're allowed to do whatever you want with your money. That's America. That's where we live. When you have children and you are a 40-year-old woman and you have a boyfriend, and we'll get to her body stuff in a little bit with that, you're allowed to see your kids. That's how it goes. She said that she wants to sue her family because of all of this. She never specifically mentioned her siblings. However, she kept saying my whole family, which makes me think that even though Jamie Lynn and her seemingly were the closest and they seem to have more of a relationship, it doesn't feel like they're on the same page right now. But she wants to sue her family, she said. And she is being told that she is not able to do that. And remember, when she sues her family, she is in charge of both her lawyers and their lawyers and pays double to sue them. And for what? The whole thing is so convoluted. This is another quote of hers. She says, "My lawyer, Sam Ingram, has been very scared for me to go forward because he's saying if I speak up, I'm being overworked in that facility of that rehab place will sue me. He told me I should keep it to myself," end quote. So a lot of this is very fear-based. So her lawyer, Sam, who's getting paid by her to keep things going, is telling her that if she speaks up in court like she's doing yesterday, and she says bad things about the rehab facility like she was doing, that they could sue her and that she would lose money on that. So that is used as a fear tactic to keep her quiet. Fuck all these people around her. Fuck all of them. She also talked multiple times about Dr. Benson, who was a doctor of hers who she thought was incredibly abusive in the way that he medicated her and all of those things. So she said that when Dr. Benson died, she got on her hands, on her knees, and thanked God. I've never heard Britney say anything like that ever before. Again, heartbreaking. Another major point that she wanted to make was that they continued to make her go to therapy in public. So she had done therapy in her own house for a long time. And then they ruled that the conservatorship said that she needed to go to therapy in public multiple times a week in Westlake. And it was in a very public place where there's all these restaurants around. And she said she would walk out of therapy crying. Paparazzi would be on top of her. And so she requested to be able to do therapy in her own home. And she kept saying they kept telling her that would be against the rules because in order to be in her conservatorship or follow the rules, she needed to attend this specific therapy place. And she wasn't saying she didn't want any therapy. She just kept saying, "Can it please be at my home? I don't feel comfortable with this. I'm going out in public and everybody's watching me and I go in with this therapist and I have these horrible sessions. I go out and I look like shit. And then paparazzi takes pictures of me and tells everybody I'm unhinged, and they don't even tell them what I'm coming from. Fucking horrible about that part too. We haven't even gotten to some of the worst stuff yet, but that was awful. She said, quote, "What state allows people to own another person's money and account and threaten them and saying, you can't spend your money unless you do what we want you to do, and I'm paying them," end quote. Exactly. So the rules here are that everybody working for her, she's really working for. Mind-blowingly nuts. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns on what is going on in the Free Britney case and what happened yesterday, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Pink Sweets in the Streamlabs says, "I'm glad Britney has a woman judge. I might eat my own words if the judge doesn't rule in her favor, and it's not to say men judge can't be empathetic, but I don't know. I just have more hope now. Glad other celebs are speaking up too. What's your fave Britney song?" Yeah, Pink Sweets. I agree. When I heard that she had a female judge too, especially as we're going to get to the IUD stuff, which is the thing that probably made the most news, a woman can sometimes understand that or empathize with that in a way that men sometimes do not. So I felt positive about that as well. Although there have been a lot of women in her life who have fucked her over too. I don't know what my favorite Britney song is. These days, Toxic is just like the number one banger for me, but I don't know. It always changes. What about for you guys? I could listen to Britney a million times in a row. At this point, I love her more now as an adult than I did even coming up, because I just have so much love for this fucking woman. All right, continuing. Another quote she said was, "I truly believe this conservatorship is abusive, and that we can sit here all day and say, oh, conservatorships are here to help people. But ma'am, there is 1,000 conservatorships that are abusive as well." This is end quote. I completely think that this is the biggest point that Britney and everybody's trying to make, that this is not just about one conservatorship. This is all eyes are on this conservatorship. Everybody is looking at this conservatorship, and she has more money, more power, more fame. So there's more to go around in the conservatorship. There's more power that people can get by abusing it. But she is dead ass right that there are tons of fucked up conservatorships. And that it's something that we haven't even addressed as a country, how wrong and fucked up some people's lives are based on conservatorships. And a lot of times that's the elderly and how abused they are in their conservatorships. And it's disgusting. Disgusting. This is another thing she said. Quote, "This is my home. I'd like for my boyfriend to be able to drive me in his car. And I want to meet with a therapist once a week, not twice a week. And I want him to come to my home because I actually know I do need a little therapy." And then she laughed. Breaking this part down, her boyfriend wore a Free Britney shirt yesterday. Huge step in this. We've never seen that before. A Free Britney shirt from her boyfriend. Is it that crazy of a request as almost a 40-year-old woman to say, I would like my boyfriend to be able to drive me in his car? It sounds like we're talking about a child, but we're not. We're talking about a grown-ass woman. And to say you want to go to therapy and you want it to be in your home because you are a multi-millionaire and you want that therapist to come once a week, not twice, because that's where you feel like you are at this point. Does that sound crazy or unhinged to you guys? Holy shit, look at Britney go. She wants to drive in her boyfriend's car and have a therapist come to her house once a week. What a fucking crazy girl. She must be batshit. What the fuck is wrong with people? You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a grown-ass woman who wants to hang out with her man and still acknowledges, like I do, like many of you guys do, that we need a little bit of help. It's nice to have a therapist to talk to every once in a while. Then we get into the IUD part of the conversation. This part of the conversation is the one that made the most headlines, and I understand why, because all of this up to this point sounds so illegal, but this is so fucking wrong that I don't know anybody that you could describe this to who would say, yes, that sounds legal and just. This is so fucked up. I'll get to it in a second. More mouth haunts in the super chat. And Streamlabs in, guys. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. Lucky has taken a whole new meaning to me. More mouth, totally all of her songs. I'm a slave for you. I mean, like, a lot of her song lyrics now hit in a different way. That is so sad. In the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar, Apollo3JP says, like I said from the get-go, mind you, LOL, get this woman the help she needs. No one deserves to live life like a prisoner. What do you mean by getting her the help she needs? You mean getting her out of this situation? Let me know what you guys are all thinking on this as we go into this, possibly the most fucked up part of this entire story. Although, in my opinion, all of it's so fucked up. Okay, so this you guys might have heard of, you might not have if you were waiting for this show to break it down. This is her quote on IUDs, which for those of you guys who don't know what an IUD is, I guess I should describe that before we get into the actual conversation on it. An IUD is an intrauterine device, which means that in layman terms, it prevents you from getting pregnant. So for people who have IUDs, sometimes they're 5-year IUDs, sometimes 7-year IUDs, it's a thing that goes inside of you that prevents you from getting pregnant. And so that way you don't have to take a daily birth control. It's a device that's implanted in you. And then if you want to keep doing it every 5 or 7 years, you get it changed out. Or if you want to get it removed, then you would be able to get pregnant again if you are able to get pregnant. So that's what an IUD is. And for the purposes of this, remember that. So this is her quote. I want to have the real deal. I want to be able to get married and have a baby. I was told right now in the conservatorship, I'm not able to get married or have a baby. I have an IUD inside of myself right now, so I don't get pregnant. I wanted to take the IUD out so I could start trying to have another baby. But this so-called team won't let me go to the doctor to take it out because they don't want me to have children or any more children. So this is the opposite argument. I mean, it's the same argument as my body, my choice, but this is the opposite issue of people who are the pro-choice, pro-life, but it's still the same issue. This is a woman who wants to get pregnant, who has a device inside her where she cannot get pregnant, who wants to take that device out of her, which is very normal protocol for any of my friends who have had IUDs. Most of my friends at this point have IUDs. And then when they want to get pregnant, they get it taken out. And her team will not let her go to the doctor to get it taken out because they are refusing to let her get pregnant. How is that a conservatorship? And keeping in mind that Britney Spears is about to be 40. I mean, Britney Spears is, let's see what her exact age is. She is 39 and she's going to be 40 in December, on December 2nd. I told you guys the other day that anything past 35 is a geriatric pregnancy. And it's challenging to get pregnant past 35. The older you get, especially past 40, it can be really difficult. So time is of the essence if she is trying to have a biological child and would like to be pregnant. And they won't let her take it out. They're clearly trying to age her out of being able to have a baby. But she has a boyfriend who she loves, who she wants to marry, and who she wants to have a baby with. And her team, her conservatorship, are not letting her take out her IUD. What the fuck? What the fuck? Horrible. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. Let me know your questions, comments, concerns, although I can't imagine anybody thinking that that's okay. Anybody on any side of the aisle. She wants a baby and they won't let her physically take out the device inside her own body in order to do that. So that came towards the very end of her 20-minute speech. And like I said, made the most press. Yeah. There's something else that she said earlier on that stuck with me too. She said, I worked 7 days a week, no days off, which in California, the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking, making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport, and placing them in a home where they work with the people who live with them. They all lived in the house with me, the nurses, the 24/7 security. There was one chef that came there and cooked for me daily during the weekdays. They watched me change every day, naked, morning, noon, and night. My body, I had no privacy, no door for my room. I gave 8 vials of blood a week. If I didn't do any of my meetings and work from 8 to 6 at night, which is 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, no days off, I wouldn't be able to see my kids or my boyfriend. I never had a say in my schedule. They always told me I had to do this. And ma'am, I will tell you, sitting in a chair 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, it ain't fun, especially when you can't walk out the front door. How do you hear this? So at the end of all of this, at the end of everything that happens, the judge said that she heard Britney. She appreciated Britney for speaking out and for taking the time. I can read to you guys because this was transcribed too. After Britney gives her whole speech and the judge was quiet throughout except for when she asked her to slow down, this is what the judge said. Miss Spears, you're quite welcome, because Britney thanked her. And also, I just want to tell you that I certainly am sensitive to everything that you said and how you're feeling. And I know that it took a lot of courage for you to say everything you have to say today. And I want to let you know that the court does appreciate your coming on the line and sharing how you're feeling. I know that that's like such a judge response and she's not allowed to say what it is that I'm feeling. But like, I wish that the judge had just been like, that is fucking horrific. We're going to make this fucking right. Because in the same way that I talk about other situations where there is no justice, there is no justice here. This woman has had 13 years of her life fucking taken away. It's like when we wrongfully imprison people. There is no fucking justice. There's no dollar amount we can give them to make it right. When we fucking wrongfully imprison somebody, we take away years of their life that they will never get back. Time is the one thing that you cannot gift somebody. You cannot gift somebody their time back. This story is sickening, and I think that it's happening now because we are finally making enough noise about the Britney Spears situation so that she was able to speak and so that she was able to get some information that she didn't previously have, and that we are telling them that this will not be ignored and we will not let this go. In the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider, Jake Yakoveta says, I just don't understand how any of this is legal. It's 100% fucked up. Hopefully this brings a huge light on how shitty conservatorships are. Yeah, I hope so too, Jake. Think about all of the, you guys know how close I am with Grammy and Pablo and how I feel about elderly people. We must protect them at all costs, and all of the elderly people who are getting so taken advantage of. I mean, we heard the stories about Stan Lee at the end too. Conservatorships are meant to be watched, and they're not. And when left to their own devices, they can become a beast of their own. John Lestrina in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider says, let's take a moment to remember that all we need is a little love, and not all blood is family. Totally. I mean, that couldn't be more relevant with this Jamie situation, but I know you must be talking about Fast. F9 is finally out tonight, ahead of tomorrow's official US release. It's been too long since I've seen the Fast family, and I'm so excited, as always, #family. John Lestrina, you crack me up. I needed that smile right now because this is such a fucked up story. So, and I appreciate, thank you, Brandy, my amazing mod, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider. And thank you for everybody for being in here right now. I do see that most of you guys feel what I feel. Some of you guys seem to feel a little differently. And, you're allowed to have your opinions, your thoughts on this, but I would say just educate yourself on the situation before you have any opinions and thoughts. I am one person. I am giving you guys what I believe to be the truth in this situation. That's why I tried to read as many quotes as possible, because those are the words from Britney's mouth, the person who's living this. But at the same time, if you're going to have an opinion on anything in life, just make sure it's fucking based in a place of fact. Because for people who think that she does not have it bad or that she's just some rich girl, she is not allowed to leave her house without permission. That's prison. And she is forced to work. What is that? In this country. So fucked up. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on any of this, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. Appreciate you guys for being here and listening to this and using this platform as a place to educate yourselves. I know a lot of you guys had never heard of Free Britney before this. And the fact that you guys have been open to hearing me out and listening to her story, even when it might not be, she might not be the person that you give a fuck about the most. You might not have been the biggest Britney fan. This isn't about her music, and it's not about our fandom of her. It's about the fact that something so egregious is happening to her, something so wrong, and she's not in a position where she can do this alone. She needs help. What happens from here? When I was listening to a bunch of news stations and lawyers talk yesterday, it sounds like she's really not going to be able to sue her family. But I think that what Britney is hoping, when she asked for multiple times, is that she wants to be out of this conservatorship and she doesn't want to be evaluated. Will that happen? I think there probably will be stepping stones to that. I don't think it will happen quickly. I think the first thing that's going to happen is that hopefully her dad will not have any involvement in her conservatorship. That's going to be a huge first step. And then I think after that, I do think there is going to be a day in which she is no longer in this conservatorship and she is able to live her life. But I think that we are a very far point away from that. Unfortunately, hoping it's closer than I believe. But as we know, things move very slowly in the court system. And especially with everything going on in the world right now, people don't make this a priority, which I understand there's a lot of things going on in the world. But it's just moved slowly. And we know it's moved slowly because it's been 13 years that she's been in this. And she deserves to have peace and freedom today, yesterday, 13 years ago. And not to be deemed insane because she shaves her head and doesn't want to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day for the rest of her life in order to pay for her family, who's not there for her when she needs them in any way, and start rumors about her. Ty Berman says, forced to work sounds like slavery, but what do I know? I think that when she is given the quote unquote option, you either work or you don't have a life. So it's not the same thing as you either work or you die, but it's definitely not freedom. And so it's really fucking disgusting, really disgusting. And the fact that people didn't even know about it until really this year. And that's just the way that she's been living. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns about the Free Britney case, the situation, her speaking at the conservatorship, I really believe that us talking about this, and I don't mean just you and me, but all of the people, is the reason that she was able to finally speak. So we're going to not shut the fuck up about this. We're going to keep talking about it, and we're going to keep making waves for as long as it takes for Britney to be free. And if she fucking fucks up her life after that point, many of us do. She ends up dating the wrong guy or having a baby daddy or, spends her money on ponies and whatever, then that's what she fucking does. Because that's freedom and that's her prerogative. Wow, I use a lot of her quotes. Going back into the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar, coming in from Glenn Caesar. Glenn says, bunnies to Avery Burke and Avery's mom. Rest in peace to Chris Burke. Hashtag 3 rockstars forever. Let's go Smets and everyone fighting. Hashtag smash cancer. I stand against anti-Semitism. I stand against Islamophobia. I stand against Asian hate. Hashtag stop AAPI hate. I know that Black Lives Matter. Hashtag BLM. Absolutely, Glenn. And I did talk to Smets today. I talked to him a lot of days. And, it's been a long journey for him. And he's definitely fighting and struggling a little bit, but he's doing really well. And I feel really, really grateful to have him in my life. So everybody send Smets some love, because he is on this journey too. It's quite the fight. Paul through JP in the Streamlabs says, did you see my boy JT? Oh my God. Paul, why do you start sentences that make me can't stand you? To see my boy JT released one of the first statements about this. Smart move, but he's absolutely covering his ass. Why is he your boy? A lot of people did. The one thing, I was sitting with the World Girls last night as all this Britney stuff was coming out, and after the show, I was like, holy shit! And I was getting texts up the ass about the Britney stuff because everybody knows how obsessed I am with it. And so the one thing Dee took out her phone and just said, and showed it to me. And it was Mariah Carey standing up for Britney. And then I was like, I can't even say anything bad about her right now. Anybody who stands up for Britney, I'm fucking about it. So, yeah. Like JT, Mariah, whatever. The more support out there for her, the better. There's a lot better people supporting, but fine. Glenn also says, Miles Cosgrove, Brett Hankinson, Jonathan McNally arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, all three of them for killing Breonna Taylor. Hope today is the day. Justice for all people who've lost their lives due to excessive force. # say their names. Today is a day about justice, Glenn, as we've been talking about, and there would be nothing more that I could root for today or would make today better than justice for the people who've lost their lives due to excessive force. So thank you for saying that. And we appreciate you here on the show. And always thank you for all the constant reminders of all the things that matter and keeping us grounded in that way. And shout out to all of you guys for being here. Okay. On a more positive note, what I will say is that I saw the funniest fucking thing. This has nothing to do with Britney Spears, but I needed the little laugh in my life, especially after seeing somebody's entire world get taken away from them and making me feel like such ass for what's going on. Whenever I see positive stories or funny stories, I decide to share them with you guys. So if you would like to see something funny while you guys are sending in your final Streamlabs, this is a tweet that I came across. I wonder if this was trending for you guys at all. This was trending for me. So this is something that was tweeted. I'll show you guys the actual tweet so you believe me. And I guess covered on a news outlet by a woman. And here's the actual tweet. Paige Halsey said, looks like a normal teen's bedroom, right? Think again. Coming up on whatever KMOV, I'm sure that's whatever network she works for, we'll show you what parents should be looking for so they can identify signs of drug use. I was shocked at what I found in this room. So this is the room. And then let me just show you a little bit bigger of an image of the room. She posts this picture. She's the prudest bitch I've ever met. You guys see that sign that says mile 420 in the corner? This says straight up mile 420. And she's shook that this is a room of somebody who likes drugs. That is a like Grateful Dead fish looking fucking tapestry behind with like a stoner ass chair and a mile 420 sign. And she's like, I was shocked what I found in this room. Bitch, you prude. You have no idea what's going on in the world. You were shocked. You're a Momo. That was the whole thing. Honestly, it just made me smile a little bit on a day that I needed that. So that. Hopefully you guys get a kick out of that as much as I do. Because like some bitches be so whack sometimes. You'll never believe that I found pot in this 420 mile room. All right, we're going to get out of here, guys. I will be live tomorrow on Only Stupid Answers in the morning, plus live at the Roxy in the afternoon. Bruce Banner says white people crack me up. Totally. That was some white ass shit. No lie. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns about Britney or Free Britney, always put them in the Streamlabs so that I can research and get to them. Leave your comments underneath this video as well. We have another Streamlabs coming through. Big support from Mark, Jason, Ali. Mark, thank you. You fucking save my ass all the time. Mark says, hi, Roxy. How are you feeling today? # Free Britney is a rough subject. Would there be any point her suing her family if she has to pay for both lawyers? I don't know enough about the case. # Smash Cancer. Rip Chris Burke. Rest in peace. Love to Avery and her mom. Absolutely to that. Mark, I think that it's not about the money for her. It's about the power and the control. So I think the point of suing her family, if she thinks she has a case, would be not about making money, but about getting them off of her fucking, out of her life. But I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, and apparently the lawyers she hired aren't rooting for that. So, or the lawyers that she is given based on her conservatorship. It's crazy, right, Mark? It's nuts. Mormoth Han says, great looking room. Got a Jibo. What's Jibo? I don't even know what that is. Y'all are the freaking best. All right, I am getting out of here. So much love to you guys, my friends. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Make sure they know about Free Britney. For those of them who don't, we got to be the ones that are informing people because this fucking matters. Check your internet. You can do that by blowing on it. Welcome back, Rob Fishbeck. You have been missed. Don't Tremble the Holocaust. This we know. Brett Miles Jonathan. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. All three of them for killing Breonna Taylor. Put your toilet seat down and lid. We don't want those flumes. Make your bed. Hopefully you've already done that. If you haven't, then go do it. Stay safe. Stay sane. And most importantly for today's show, free fucking Britney.